Okay, I think we're recording. I'm
Mhm.
here tonight with Shoshana Church, and she is graciously agreed to be on here tonight. And she does know that we are recording. And when I say me, we, I mean I. I don't know. I guess it sounds fancier to say we, but
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming on tonight to Potwater Presents, and to tell us a little bit about menopause and women's health and how cannabis can help.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And so I would love for you to just kind of explain what services you offer, what your business is, how you got started with cannabis, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Well, I'm from the old days. So we used a lot of weed when I was a kid, like in high school and stuff like that. But then, kind of like early 30s, I had a family and decided that it was not the way to go. It was illegal, and it was just, it had become a burden to use it because when I smoked, I'd get paranoid, and I just felt like I was being a terrible parent. My children were hearing, just say no, and they were on the dare thing and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So I actually got saved. I went to my mom's church, and I'm like, I'm a sinner. I'm smoking pot, and I need you to stop this, right now. Take this away from me. And actually, he did. So that went for like, I think it was like 29 years before I ever touched it again.
Okay.
And I did again because it was legalized in Illinois for medical use. So I got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. And in 2020, I got my medical cannabis card. And I really didn't get it for cancer because the cancer was gone. I'm not needing it for that anymore, but I needed it for the other things. The main thing being sleep. Sleep is a terrible battle for me. So I started wanting to see if that would work for sleep. And then as the time has gone on, and I've looked at like a lot of science about the plant and all that stuff, I thought, I need to be more knowledgeable about how this plant works and why. And so I got my cannabis coaching certification through a program called the Cannabinoid Protocol. And then I got my cannabis educator certification from Cannabis Coaching Institute. And so I am a cannabis coach. I have a practice doing that, but I'm also a physician assistant, and I work in a recovery clinic, which is kind of funny. But in that clinic, I at least am able to discuss with people who are using opiates that cannabis is a solution as an opiate substitute. So instead of taking the opiate, let's try a little cannabis instead. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And as far as menopause goes, I am the menopause queen. Um, been doing this since I was 36, and I'm 67. So
No way.
yeah, way.
You
But
look amazing.
I appreciate that.
Definitely share your secrets, sister. Spell.
Spill my guts. No,
Hmm.
I just, it's been a really hard journey, menopause has been. And there's a lot of studies and a lot of research out there that says there's about 11% of the female population is going to have menopausal symptoms ongoing, like 25 years or so longer after they have their last period. And I kind of feel like I'm in that percentage. But using cannabis has helped a lot. One, with hot flashes. I still get hot flashes, but since I've been trying what I use, my hot flashes have decreased significantly. And then the other thing is just with painful intercourse. I mean, it's horrible when you reach this stage, and it's just your body changes, your estrogen levels drop, your vagina changes. It doesn't have that elasticity anymore. It's dry and thin, and that friction can cause little tears in the skin, and that causes scarring, and it's very, very painful. It feels kind of like shards of glass on.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I've been experimenting with the cannabis suppositories, and I make my own, and
You do.
they're working.
Okay.
So, I mean, it has definitely been a game changer.
Okay.
But
I'd
as far
love to
as,
learn more about those.
yeah, it's, I heard, I know Andrea at CCI had talked about, what is it, petals in the pits, or I don't know, I don't know what she calls it. It's something. And I'm like, suppositories? That's interesting. And so I made my own, and I'm like, what? The 65 milligrams
Okay.
THC is how I calculated it out.
Okay.
I can use one of those vaginally. I never feel it. Never get the psychoactive effects at all.
Okay.
Because it's in the vagina, it's going through the mucous membranes. It's not, you're not taking it orally, so it's not going through that first pass metabolism where it has to go through the liver, your stomach and liver. So you don't get all that psychoactive effect in the brain by using that high of a dose.
Okay.
So, and it's doing, because of our receptors, our CB2 receptors, basically, that are in the pelvic floor. Those are, activated by that THC, and it's healing it, I think. So
I'm definitely gonna have to look into those.
yeah.
Now, when you make your own, like, do you buy the like, is it a capsule it goes into, or?
You can do it. There are suppository molds. I don't have those. I kind of did, like, because I'm a certified aromatherapist as well, and you can do. I had a lesson on suppository making in that certification. So it's basically, you make a mold out of foil. So you just, like, roll up, like you would take, like, a long instrument, like longer than this, and roll your foil around it a few times to make it nice and thick, and then pull it off, and then you tape the end up real good, and then you just pour I use cocoa butter and shea butter, and then my can of oil, my coconut oil, basically, or you can use a RSO or something like that, or a FICO or something like that, and just, mix all that together, pour it in there. I also throw in some essential oils, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I put patchouli in mine.
Okay.
Patchouli is very good for the skin. So
Okay.
I use that, and that's all I did, and put them in the freezer. They freeze. You unpeel the foil and cut them in little pieces, and there you go. Easy.
I'm gonna have to try it now.
Easy.
I keep hearing everybody talking about it, and I haven't gotten that far yet. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to, like, do you have on your website or anywhere, do you have, like, the instructions of how to make them or anything?
I don't. I could put them on there, like do a recipe tab or something like that. I haven't ever done that before, but that's something I'm gonna make note of. And
Yeah, I would love to, because I know Michelle Crawford does a lot with those as
yeah,
well.
she does.
But I just haven't gone down that rabbit hole. I've been going down so many other ones that,
Right.
but I'm sure my husband would appreciate it if I went down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it really is. It's pretty remarkable, actually, how much it's changing things. So,
Okay.
I mean, cannabis is an amazing plant, and I believe that God gave it to us for a purpose. And in fact, in Exodus 30, 23, it talks about cannabosum, which is one of the ingredients in the holy anointing oil. And they've broken down that Hebrew definition, the meaning behind that, and they believe that it's cannabis. And they actually did a study in one of the temple on the altar. They found an altar that was in the temple, and they scraped up a bunch of the stuff that was left on there, and some of the substance was cannabis. So
what verse was that?
It's Exodus 30, 23.
Okay. Because I have Genesis 129 on the back of my business card.
Right. Yes. Yeah. He's given us every seed bearing fruit and tree and plant for our food. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know I've gotten a lot of flack for that, but it's a plant that was made by God, and or whichever deity you believe in, and I'm not here to transcribe people either way. Everybody's free to believe in what they believe, but it's here, it's natural. We have an endocannabinoid system, and we don't have morphine systems or alcohol systems or whatever else systems there are.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. This is true. And that's one of the things that I think that in especially the Christian community is, getting other Christians to understand that, if you're going to use a drug like Ativan or Xanax or Klonopin, what's that doing to your brain? If you're going to use a drug to sleep like Ambien that you're only supposed to use for up to 2 weeks, what's that doing to your brain?
Right.
So those are all changing your brain psychoactively in a negative way, because it's only binding to one receptor. Where with cannabis, we have all these receptors all over our body that are just kind of waiting for that thing to open that receptor up and cause it to work.
Right.
So it's like in the case of hot flashes, one of your questions was, does it help with the hot flashes or the night sweats? And it does, obviously. But the way that it does that is because in the normal setting, our thermoregulatory system is in the hypothalamus. So like if it's cold here, if I went outside without a coat on, it wouldn't take long for my body to start responding to that. You might start to shiver and everything would go, all the heat would go to the internal organs to preserve my brain and my heart and my kidneys and all that stuff. So that's my normal thermoregulatory system that's kicked into gear to protect me. So in the setting of menopause, when we have hot flashes, our estrogen levels have an awful lot to do with that thermal regulatory system.
Okay.
When our estrogen levels start to drop, then that's when we start experiencing hot flashes and stuff. Now, and when you start using cannabis or even CBD, the enzyme FAH, I don't know the name of it. It's that FAAH.
Right.
I know it's a big long name, and I don't even want to try to remember that. But actually estrogen regulates FAH. FAH breaks down anandamide. So anandamide is one of our bliss molecules. It's one of our endocannabinoids that we make on demand. And so if you have a lesser amount of estrogen, then you're not breaking down the FAH. And so, or the FAH is not there to break down the anandamide is what I meant to say. And so if you add in THC, which mimics anandamide, then now you have a better thermoregulatory system.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, because that one of the questions was about hot flashes, and that makes perfect sense. So,
and really studies, there was a study in 2020 that indicated that at least a little more than 1 in every 4 women are using cannabis for menopausal symptoms, not just hot flashes,
right?
But for the irritability and the insomnia and the vaginal discomfort and all that kind of stuff. So weight gain, all that,
right?
Yeah.
Well, I know my mom had actually asked me a few years back about getting her some gummies, because in her Christian chat room, one of the people in the chat room said, you should try some gummies. And so she was like, hey, can you help me find some? And I went, does this mean all the years I was grounded?
You're grounded, Mom.
So, but and that's the thing, is it can help so many people. And that's why I feel having conversations like you and I right now is to educate people that it's not the scary thing that you think it is. There's so much more out there, and we just need to raise awareness.
Right. It's just been stigmatized too long. People just believe that it's a gateway drug and the devil's lettuce, and you're on the highway to hell if you smoke weed. And in fact, I saw a video today on YouTube. It's this girl saying why Christians shouldn't smoke weed. And I actually turned it off because I'm like, I feel sorry for you. I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. But one day you may really need it.
Right.
Then you're going to use it as medicine. You're not going to use it to get high.
Right.
That's the big difference. So, yeah. Another thing too, you'd ask the question about weight issues. So we know that THCV has the potential to be an appetite suppressant. So you just have to find a product that has THCV in it, or, I've got, I use one from Rare Cannabinoids. It's an oil.
Okay.
So it's THCV uplift. So it's more of a stimulant, I guess. So it helps your appetite. So,
okay. Now, one of the questions we had too was like about getting crepey skin or tired skin. Do you think like ingesting it works better, or topicals? Like, what would you recommend for something?
I think topicals. In fact, before we started our call, do you know who Dustin Sulak is?
Yes, I just signed up.
Okay, so he's doing a webinar right now, and it's on CBD and THC, but he was covering skincare. So
Oh,
one of the things he was talking about was in the setting of decubitus ulcers or ulcers, like where if you're bed bound and you get a,
oh, yeah.
breakdown on your
Mhm.
bones, you can develop one of those ulcers. Well, they were using CBD oil right in the bed of the ulcer and then covering it with something. I didn't get what he said they were covering it with, but it healed exponentially faster than normal wound healing.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as like crepey skin and stuff like that, I think, yeah, if you just do a topical, like I don't know that cannabis so much would be that important, but I do think CBD would help.
Okay.
There are receptors in the skin, which is our largest body organ anyway. So if you just apply it, my daughter-in-law gave me some little things. They go on the bags. I have terrible
Yeah.
bags. And it's a little rubbery kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
package thing.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
you stick them on and leave them for like 15 minutes. But those,
Yeah. They're wonderful.
yeah, 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 and they work. They
Mhm.
do. I kind of sparingly use them because I don't want to use them all up yet.
Yep.
On my really bad bag day, I'll use them. I'll use some of those. But yeah, I think a topical approach, using a CBD balm or a salve, and you can make your own easy enough. So, if you've got the CBD. So
What is like for the low libido, is that where like the suppositories come into play, or is there like other ways to use cannabis to help with that as well?
well, I think in the setting of libido, the suppositories are definitely going to help because if you have pain, you're not going to want to do anything. So, but really, there's so many more factors involved with libido issues. There's a lot of research about women using cannabis for libido, to improve it. And I think what they're coming up with more than anything is that because the cannabis is the psychoactive properties, that it's going to help you relax, that it actually will bring some calm. Because as women, we know that we can't just jump right in, right? You got to have some time. There's got to
Mhm.
be some emotional connection first. And if you're smoking, then it's going to raise your sort of perception of how those things feel. Plus, it heightens your touch.
Okay.
So, if in that case, yes, it can help with libido.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a common problem. I don't know how many women have sat in front of me in the clinic and said, "I just don't want to have sex anymore. I just hate it," and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but you know, it's healthy. You
But
should have it. So,
well, and that's so encouraging to find out that there are ways that you can help with those things and do it naturally.
mhm,
Because that's like for me, I don't do well with man-made anything.
right.
And so that's part of what led me down this journey was getting away from man-made chemicals and things like that and trying to find a more natural approach to life in general.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think, if you are concerned about, maybe you just don't feel like, getting intimate, if you use a little bit of cannabis an hour or so beforehand, it might make the setting a little bit better. And if you've got a good relationship with your partner and they're understanding, then, that can lead to better intimacy as well. And we
Hmm.
also know too, if you inhale it, it's going to your brain, it's, affecting all the receptors and stuff in your body. And, it just does what it does. It's just a magic plant, basically.
Hmm. It is. It's like there's nothing it can't do, but again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not, everybody do your own research and
Yes, exactly.
figure out what works for you,
Right.
because what works for you might not work for me and vice
Right.
versa. But
Well,
that's
and
kind of the fun thing about it too.
yeah. And there's so much research. People want to research the plant, but of course, since it's still federally scheduled as a Schedule 1, it's hard to get those studies going and funded. But they are, the question is, does cannabis help libido because it relaxes you, makes you calm? Does it help because it's affecting the receptors in the pelvic floor? Is it affecting your sex hormones? Nobody really knows. You've got a sex hormone called sex hormone binding globulin. That's in the pituitary gland. So if that's all bound up because there's something going wrong, what if cannabis is really actually helping that particular hormone globulin to like break down and not be bound up anymore? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Nobody really
Okay.
knows. They can't really do a lot of research because of the restrictions, but those are some theories about how it could possibly help with libido.
Okay. That's fascinating. I hadn't heard about the big long sex word you just
Sex
before.
hormone binding globulin.
Yeah.
Binds up your hormones.
Okay.
Yeah. And back to the skin thing, because CBD and THC are such anti-inflammatories, like conditions like eczema, psoriasis, rosacea. It can really help with all those things. It's an anti-inflammatory, and those are inflammatory conditions. So not just the crepiness and the dry skin, but if it can help with eczema and psoriasis and rosacea, then why not crepiness and dry skin?
Right. I have a girlfriend of mine who actually started using the pet CBD and putting a couple drops on her scalp, and that's helped quite a bit with dandruff also. And so it's fascinating because it's like it can literally help with everything. You just got to try it.
Right. You just got to figure out what works for you, like you said. I personally don't smoke very much. I use edibles at bedtime, use some topical stuff, and of course I use the suppositories. I smoke a little bit, but not daily. It's not what I really want to do. I don't start my day out that way because I have a feeling I wouldn't be very functional. It just affects me that way.
Right.
For me, it's like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now, And
Yeah.
you can't do that when you got to go to work. So so I kind of don't do that. I haven't found any kind of the chemovars yet that we've been using here. So that will help with that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that someone else had asked is that they seem to be getting more forgetful now that they're going through menopause. And would the cannabis make them more forgetful?
Well, I don't think it will make you more forgetful unless you're in the middle of being very stoned, and then you can be forgetful. Like I have been there before. I'm like, wait a minute. No, so I don't think I don't think it's going to make you more forgetful.
Okay.
Anything, I feel like because of the CB1 receptors that are in the brain, when you use those products, there's healing. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. We can use, you could take something if you have Alzheimer's, is it really going to make you better? Probably not. It's just one chemical that's going to, attach itself to one receptor in one place. Whereas with cannabis, they're all over. The receptors are all over our brain. So it's going to help no matter what you do. I cannot say for sure that you won't be more forgetful if you use it and you're already having some of those issues in menopause. I think it's a holistic thing. I think that you need to exercise, you need to eat well, not like we were talking about sugar, not a lot of sugar. You don't need to smoke nicotine. Doing all these things. We need to be holistic about how we live. And so as you get older, you're going to have some forgetful times. I do myself, but I don't think it's going to make it worse. And if you're doing all the other things right, you're going to be okay.
Wonderful. So if people have more questions, how do they find you?
Well, I have a website. It is www.cannabisremedy.org. And then I also have an email that's schurchpac@gmail.com.
Okay.
And they can reach me that way.
And I'll put links to all that underneath this when we're finished.
Okay.
And what all services do you offer?
Well, I have a coaching program. So I have, you can do, there's a couple of different choices that people can make. So if you want to do cannabis coaching, I have just like a 1 hour, just a one and done kind of consult. And during that consult, you would get a form emailed to you with a health history. So it's a complete health history. And it's pretty in-depth, actually. Actually, what people get when they allow me to be their coach is they're pretty much getting a physician assistant with a specialization in cannabis. So, it's not, I can't operate as a physician assistant, but I've got the knowledge and all that kind of stuff to help whatever. I can look at medication lists and say, you might not want to do that if you're using cannabis, maybe don't do the two together, that kind of thing. But anyway, you can do the one, or I have a bundle. So the bundle would be like an initial consult. It's 45 minutes and then 2 more 30-minute calls in a month. And then you have texting access Monday through Thursday during normal business hours.
Oh, wow.
Like a month of help and support. And then what I do usually in the coaching situation is if they're local to me, it's easy. But if it's somebody that's not, then I just go to their local dispensary online and look and see what products are available that I would recommend.
Oh, okay.
So really it's and there's a tracking sheet too. So I send them that so they can track their progress and stuff. And just, and especially with women, we need to take it slow. You need to go really slow, start really slow, track your progress, see what works. If it didn't work, don't do it again. Let's try something different, So that's my cannabis coaching. I do also aromatherapy, and that can be included with cannabis coaching as well. So
wow.
Yeah, so I can do I can make stuff and send it out, and I can't do anything with THC in it because, the implications of sending that across state lines, I wouldn't be able to do that, but I could do CBD and essential oils. So,
okay.
But that's what I do. Other than that, I work in a recovery clinic doing NAD infusions for alcohol and opiate use disorder.
And you were telling me a little bit about that. I found that absolutely fascinating. I hadn't heard of that before.
Yeah. No, not very many people have, and we're kind of a well-kept secret. I don't know how people find us. I mean, we've got a website, so I guess they just Google, I need help with recovering from alcohol, and then we'll pop up, and then they'll reach out. So it's an infusion program where we use a substance called NAD. We infuse that over a course of however many days, depending on the substance that you're trying to get off of. And then it floods the brain with this nutrient. We're born with this nutrient. And then as we get older, it starts to decline. So by the time you're about 20, you got about half as much as you had when you were a newborn. And then by the time you're 40, you got half of what you had when you were 20. And so it goes. And it's actually an anti-aging molecule as well. So, it helps with like these folks that are coming in that are struggling with alcohol and opiates. They're getting some boost in their aging process too, like in as reversing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. You're doing amazing things, lady.
Yeah. It's fun. I love it. I love it that I've gone back to understanding the plant. I feel, that was a season that I was in where I wasn't using it and I didn't think it was appropriate. My husband, I didn't want him using it. It was a battle. And, now, I'm in a different season, and this season is one of education and knowledge and helping other people learn and breaking the stigma. We need to break this stigma. I got turned down for a job. Listen to this. I was going to do another little part-time job doing home health Medicare assessments. So going to the home, you do the whole thing. Anyway, I went through the whole process of credentialing and everything. And then the lady says, well, you're going to have to do a urine drug screen. And I said, well, I'm going to fail it then because, I have my medical cannabis card. And I said, if that's going to keep me from getting this job, then let's just stop. Because I'm not going to stop that. I just want to stop this process if that's going to keep me from getting the job. And she says, no, we take everybody on a case-by-case basis. Well, then they sent me an email that said, congratulations, your credentialing is over. Now we'll go on to the next step. And I get a call from the doctor. And she says, I'm so sorry, but because you failed your urine drug screen, we will not be able to give you the employment. I'm like, it's legal in Illinois. And she said,
Right.
no, but it's federally illegal. So we have to follow federal guidelines. And I got on my email right then and I sent an email to President Biden. I'm like, you got to do something about this. This is what just happened to me. I'm totally qualified for this job.
Right.
And I can't even have it because, and I don't even smoke. You know, it's like,
yeah.
So anyway, I never got anything back from President Biden. Nothing.
Well, I think he might be one that might have benefits from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? A president that was pro cannabis.
Yeah.
Now, that one I'd vote for.
Yes. Yes.
So, hey, universe, let's throw it out there. Let's get a president that's pro cannabis.
Exactly. How Obama felt about it. I don't know what his viewpoint was on that, but
I haven't really heard of any presidents getting too much into it. I think because it's so controversial and they just want to get the votes.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't really heard any political get too much into it.
Yeah. Well, the next guy that wants to run for president, boy, if he used his head, he'd support cannabis.
Right.
He'd win.
Or she.
She. Yes, that's true. She. Let's get a she.
Let's get a she.
Yeah.
Let's get a pro cannabis she.
Yes. That's not in menopause. Or she'll forget. No. She'll forget what she said. No. What's next?
Right. We're all new friends today. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on and doing this interview with me. I appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your day. I really enjoyed meeting with you tonight.
Yeah.
And I am signed up for your email list, so I follow along with that as well. And I invite everybody else to go check out your website and join your email list and contact you if they have any further questions.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
I thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording and then we can chat for a little bit more and have a great evening. Thanks for watching this episode of Potwater Presents.